All right, so Chris, we are property managers,
Yep.
and we have an office in Centennial, which covers the Denver metro area, one in Boulder and one in Fort Collins. And one of the things I like to ask clients is like, what do you look for in property managers? So I'm sure you get that question a lot. What is your answer to the people you're talking to your audience?
So this might sound brutal, but this is how I think. I usually think lowest common denominator when it comes to any service. I don't, this. So I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but like, who is least likely to make a big mistake on something I own? And I usually, oftentimes use four-letter words, but since we're on the internet, I'll try to be polite. It's like, great, who is least likely to mess up an asset? Mm-hmm. And from a very high level standpoint, me, probably I'm the highest likely person to do it. Even though I'm an agent, I know a lot of the rules. I also know that, gosh, I know what I don't know, and there's a lot more stuff out there. And that, man, I don't want to deal with it myself. So that's one reason why I don't like to manage my own properties, because I consider myself a liability, manage my own properties, because number one, I do have my license, so I have a higher standard. And you should have known better since you're an agent. Even before I was an agent, I decided I'm going to use a property manager because I didn't like it. And as I talked to property managers, my very first place was in Reno, Nevada. My second test is who actually returns phone calls and emails. Believe it or not, I called 4 property managers. The fourth one eventually called me back. Guess who got my business? The damn person that called me back.
The only one.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another thing. Hey, are people timely and responsive? So I like to say, great, and I say, who's least likely to mess it up? Going back to that analogy, that's why I like to get myself out of the equation, because, great, I don't have the experience. I haven't been trained in it, and I'm more along the lines of, like, I don't care about a few bucks now. I care about a big mistake that could wipe me out. Oh, cool, whatever, I lose $500 here, and it's kind of sucks, but, like, whatever, I can handle it. A $500,000 lawsuit, that's going to hurt me big time and hurt my family. So I like property managers that have very well-established systems and processes, because I am a systems and processes guy, and I think, hey, great, when things are mapped out and there is step 1 to step 200 or whatever, how many checklists you guys have. I know for different parts of you have your checklist. I like those because, great, if that individual property manager has an emergency, or sometimes people quit their jobs. Sometimes people just don't perform, and I get that. I have no problems with that. Great. Well, if there's a checklist in place, you guys as a property managers can somehow step in and not miss a beat. And yeah, occasionally something will get messed up, but like whatever, that's going to happen no matter what. So I like well-established people that have systems in place. I'm not a big fan of, I have clients, oh great, I found this discount property manager for $50 a month. I'm like, okay, you want to have them manage your $500,000 house? Like I talked to a gentleman, he bought this like a 3-year-old new build custom home somewhere in Broomfield for like $570,000. Not a great rental because the numbers just don't make much sense on there. But what made me so interested in him was he then hired a la carte property manager he was going to pay $50 or $90 a month to. So every time they answered the phone, it was a $25 charge. Wow. And so this guy lived up in the foothills, and every time there was an issue at the property, broken screen door, just all that little stuff, he was driving down there to do because he wouldn't pay his property manager. Okay, well, that takes out the whole point of it. I want to invest, not run it, and so I want to have people run the investments for me. So people that actually respond to emails and phone calls, they don't have to pick up right when I call, but great, get back to me within the same day or next business day, because that means when there's issues, great, you'll learn from me, and so will the tenants. Like I said, people with systems and processes, and people have built a business, not the one-man show. I like that type of structure.
Talk about the question you would ask to understand systems and processes. So let's say you call a property manager. What is the question that you would ask?
I kind of start at very high level. Just, hey, what's the process? Or, hey, great, I say I want to rent a property, or I got this property I want to rent. What's the process you guys take me through? Some iteration of that. I don't ask to see it, but then as we get further into it, I'm like, great, what happens when this? Where's your manual? How are things like this? I just ask those very high-level questions, and then you can usually tell if they've got staff and systems and people in place.
Awesome.
So I get a lot of people where they want to self-manage their properties, and I get that. I want to do that. My very first property I bought in Reno, Nevada, and that lasted for 1 year until my tenant left. He left fine, but I'm trying to find a tenant, all that stuff I hated. Again, it goes back to, if you want to self-manage, great. Go into it eyes wide open, though. Don't just go into it saying, great, I'm going to save 8% a month or 8% a year, so I'm going to save $120 a month. I get that, but there are issues, there are liabilities. As we were talking before, there are laws that you have to follow. Everything from knowing, great, I don't want pets. Well, do most people know that service animals are not pets? I didn't, and I'm very fortunate that that property manager years ago said, no, you have to take them. They're not pets. I was like, oh, okay, that's really good to know. Thank you. You earned your $500 fee because you saved me, maybe a $20,000 lawsuit or whatever it is. So make sure you know those rules. And then we're in summertime now, so in the springtime, Colorado passed a handful of more tenant-friendly laws. Some I agree with, some I don't. But regardless, they are having a higher duty for landlords where they have to go out there and manage their properties. Everything from, great, now if there are instances of bed bugs, you have 24 hours out there to get someone to respond. They changed all of their application fee rules, which I can't recite. They changed, how quickly you can start the eviction process and all that stuff. So, these are rules that you want to know and make sure you follow. Because if you don't, worst case scenario, you can get in trouble and pay some fines and potentially have a lawsuit. So that's why I like to say, great, hire a professional, because you want to do dental work on yourself. Most people don't buy houses on themselves unless they're interested in that stuff. If you're just looking for a long-term investment, set yourself up to minimize issues in the long run, because if you hold on the property for 30 years, you'll be wealthy. If you lose it in year 3, you're going to have a hard time. So I like property managers.